Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, How to Become a Virtual Kidney Health Coach. Next slide. My name is Molly Alawode, and I'm the Director of Education here at the American Kidney Fund. I'm joined today by several other members of AKF's Kidney Health Coach team. I will now ask them to introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rennie Bello, and I'm the Associate Director of Public Education here at the American Kidney Fund.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aruj Fatma, and I'm the Public Education Coordinator.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ria Suarez, and I'm also the Associate Director of Public Education. And Cecia Portillo is not on today's webinar, but she is the Health Initiatives Assistant.
Thanks, everyone. Next slide. Before we begin today's presentation, I'd like to direct your attention to the control panel you should see on your screens. All participants are on mute, so we won't hear you, but we welcome your questions. If you have a question, please type it into the chat box. We'll see your questions and we'll do our best to answer them by replying to you in the chat or out loud during the Q&A portion at the end of the webinar. To practice using the chat box, please say hello, where you're from, and whether you're a kidney health coach. I'll start. As a friendly reminder to those of you in attendance who are health professionals, this webinar is not accredited for continuing education credits. If you believe that your accrediting body may offer you credits for attending this webinar, we'll be happy to send you a certificate of attendance after today's session. Simply email us at education@kidneyfund.org. Next slide. Before we get into the main part of today's webinar, I'd like to provide a brief background on Kidney Health Coach for those of you who may not be familiar with the program. Kidney Health Coach is the American Kidney Fund's free community health education program. We developed a comprehensive online training course on preventing, managing, and treating kidney disease for anyone interested in educating their community. Becoming a kidney health coach takes 3 easy steps. 1, take the Kidney Health Coach course and pass a short quiz. 2, schedule education sessions in your community. And 3, log the education sessions you host. Research shows that community health education programs play an important role in raising awareness about disease prevention and encouraging health behavior change in at-risk communities. Therefore, kidney health coaches are at the heart of AKF's mission to fight kidney disease on all fronts. Next slide. Since the program launched in January 2018, over 2,000 individuals have successfully become kidney health coaches. Our coaches have hosted hundreds of education sessions and educated more than 8,000 people. Kidney health coaches not only span across the continental United States, but they also hail from Puerto Rico, India, Kenya, and Nigeria, to name a few countries. Next slide. So we'd like to say a huge thank you to our coaches. We couldn't have done it without you. Because of you, we are reaching people around the world with critical information about kidney disease, like its most important risk factors, diabetes and high blood pressure, and the importance of prevention, early detection, and management of kidney disease. Next slide. To help illustrate the importance of Kidney Health Coach, here is a quote from Coach Sandra Kay in Clinton, Missouri. She says, "It amazes me the number of people who do not understand the seriousness of kidney disease. I'm glad this program is offered, as I felt it is much needed and participants seem very receptive. I want to find additional ways to excite more interest in this program." Next slide. So if you're a kidney health coach, why should you go virtual? Well, given the current coronavirus pandemic, virtual education sessions comply with stay-at-home orders and uphold physical distancing practices. In addition, virtual education sessions allow you to stay involved and support AKF's mission from the comfort of your own home. And lastly, virtual education sessions can help you to reach a wider audience with potentially life-saving kidney disease education information. Next slide. So now that everyone has background information on Kidney Health Coach, let's jump into the agenda for today's webinar. Here are the 4 topics we plan to discuss this afternoon. Advice for choosing the best platform for a virtual session, tips for planning and hosting a virtual session, activities to make your virtual session interactive, and lastly, we'll save time at the end for Q&A with the AKF staff. So at this time, I'll pass the mic to Rennie.
Hello, everyone. So let's get started with thinking about, when you want to host a virtual session, the very first step is to choose an online platform. Next slide. So these days, there are so many options for online platforms that you can choose from. There are video conference platforms we use in the workplace, like Zoom and Skype. And then there are also many other ways for us to connect with our friends and followers on some of the social media platforms that we're already on. So when you're thinking about where you want to host your virtual session, there are a few questions that you should think about. Number 1, how much time will you need for your session? So in-person kidney health education sessions often range anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour or more, depending on how much time that you have. Some platforms have time limits. For example, the free version of Zoom, which is a platform that we're using today, has a 40-minute time limit. So you want to make sure that you pick a platform that will give you all the time that you need and that won't cut you off if you're planning to go a little bit longer. Number 2, do you want to share the presentation slides and AKF fact sheets with attendees? So usually, when you're in your in-person session, you can plug up to a screen where you can share the presentation slides and you can hand out the fact sheets in the room. But of course, with the virtual session, that's challenging, if not impossible. So depending on your level of comfort, you may prefer that you share the presentation slides and talk through them, but you're not going to be able to do that on every online platform. So today we're using the Zoom platform where we're able to share our slides and share the screen, and everyone in the room can see what's on screen. But if we were on a platform like Facebook Live or Instagram Live, you would have to host your session without the slides. And you may have to get a little bit creative about how you share content and how you describe some of the concepts when your audience can't see anything on the screen. So you want to keep that in mind. Number 3, how many attendees are you expecting? So some platforms have a limit for the amount of people that you can have. It could be anywhere from 100 to 250, and you'll want to keep that in mind. If you're expecting a really large audience, you would hate to set up a session and people aren't able to log in because there's a limit. So you want to look into that as well. Question number 4, what platform does your audience use? If you have a very active Facebook following and you think that, doing a kidney health education session on Instagram would make the most sense, you may want to rethink that, because if your audience is all on Facebook, it may be a little bit harder for them to join on a platform that they're not so familiar with. And number 5, what platform are you most comfortable with? So at the end of the day, this is your kidney health education session, and there are so many different platforms out there, and we really encourage you to find one that works the very best for you. So as the kidney health coach, we want you to, take some time, test out the different platforms, play with the features, and see which one you are most comfortable with using. You'll be much more confident using a platform when you know your way around. Next slide, please. So on this slide, we just have a table, and we'll link you to this in our new Kidney Health Coach Getting Started guide. And it just outlines a few different options for some of the free online platforms that are available. And it shows you what features each platform has. So going across the top, you'll see that for Facebook Live, you're able to share your screen. You're able to have like a live chat. You may not be able to do file sharing, but you can still log on and do a session with unlimited attendees and unlimited time. But if you look down on the list, you'll see, as I mentioned earlier, that with Zoom, it has a lot of the features, but there isn't a 100-person limit on the amount of people that you can have in your session. And then if you're using the free version, you only have 40 minutes. So you'll want to be really mindful of that. Some of these platforms will have kind of a countdown towards the end that will let you know you have 5 minutes left, you have a few seconds left. But other platforms like Instagram Live, maybe a little bit harder to miss. There's also a 60-minute time limit, and it'll just end your session, and you may have the opportunity to kind of restart it and re-engage your audience, but it's something you would want to be mindful of. And again, this is a chart that we have very well explained in our Getting Started guide that we'll talk about a little bit later. Next slide, please. All right, so you've chosen your online platform. You know where you want to host your session, but how do you plan this virtual session? What should you think of? Let's talk about it. Next slide. So planning your virtual session. When you're scheduling your session, the first thing you want to think about is your audience. So what day and time will work best for your audience? If you find that a lot of your friends or your followers online, the people you want to reach, are very busy in the evenings, but they make time for, let's say, lunchtime webinars, maybe they'll want to join in the afternoon. Maybe you have an audience who has more of a free weekends, and weekends are the best time to do it. So you just want to think about that so that you schedule a session that will attract the most people, and the time of day won't be so much of a barrier. The next thing, use a catchy title to capture people's attention. So if you're promoting your session on your social media or via email or something like that, there are so many competing virtual events, programs, emails, announcements that we all get. And it's really important that you use a title that'll, bring people in. What will make people interested in coming to hear you talk about kidney disease and kidney disease prevention? Number 3, write a detailed description so that people know what to expect. So again, you want to get people's attention and you want to let them know what they're in for. Let them know what you're going to be talking about, what they can expect to learn from the session, maybe some of the activities that you'll be doing, and that'll likely get people, excited about it. And they'll say, hey, this sounds like something that I'm interested in and that I would like to join. Number 4, set up reminder emails if you can. So if you're using a platform that allows people to register for your session, or if you are sending emails out to people or text or however you want to do it, it's really important that you remind people that your session is, let's say it's a day away or it's starting in an hour, just because there are so many things on people's calendars and it can be really easy for them to forget. But as you saw today, we sent out an email reminding everyone that, hey, you might have registered for this webinar a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and now it's time to join. So reminders are definitely helpful. And then lastly, as you're planning your virtual session, again, just to grab people's attention, you'll want to create a shareable post or a graphic just so that people can spread the word, something that lets people know this is the name of the session, this is the time, this is the day, this is how to join. Just very easy for people to see and share if they would like. It'll definitely help you spread the word and increase your audience. Next slide. All right, so some tips for hosting a successful virtual session. So before you begin your virtual session, you're going to want to minimize distractions and background noise. So we know we've all been home for months, and it can be really difficult when you have a meeting or a phone call, and someone at home they have their own meeting or their own phone call, or someone outside is mowing the lawn, or someone's ringing the doorbell. There's so many different noise distractions. A lot of them that we can't control, but as much as you can, you want to minimize distractions and background noise. And again, this is something we've all been doing for a while. I think we're all mindful of the different challenges that we all have, hosting things from home. So your audience will definitely be understanding if you let them know that, hey, just don't mind me. If you hear something in the background, I'm trying my best. But as best as you can, try, shutting the door. If you can put your phone on Do Not Disturb, that can help. If you're on your computer, maybe muting your notifications or closing out other applications that may have pop-ups or things that may distract you. And then you'll definitely want to start on time. So we always appreciate, when you join a meeting, they're ready to start when it's time to start. People are there when they're expected to be, and things start when as they expect. So for you as the host, you'll probably want to log in a few minutes before. Let's say you have a session at 1 o'clock p.m. Maybe you log in at 12:45, 12:50. Just make sure you're situated, make sure your lighting is good, your sound is good, that you're ready and prepared to go, so that when people join, let's say they join a couple minutes early, you're already there and ready to start. Number 3, turn your video on. So, you know, these days, relying on video is really a great way to connect with people. If you're going to be using any of these online platforms, you'll have the option to have your video on as well as your audio. We think it's a great way for you to connect with your audience, for them to see, you know, who they're talking to, for them to see how excited you are about talking about kidney health. I think it really does help to connect with their audience. And then lastly, you can also ask your attendees to turn their videos on too. So it depends on the platform you're using. So if you're on something like a Facebook Live or Instagram Live, YouTube Live, you may not have the option of having the people who are watching turn their videos on, but if you're on like Zoom or Skype, you do have that option, or Google Meet or something like that. And again, this just helps everyone to connect. You can see who's in the room. You know, you can kind of facilitate some virtual eye contact. It kind of adds to just a positive environment where everyone is, you know, willing to listen and share. So definitely ask people to turn their videos on if they would like. But we would encourage you, though, to ask people to mute their microphones, right? So, you know, when you're talking and someone else may be in the background, they may not be speaking, but these mics that we have these days are extremely sensitive. They'll pick up little background noise and things like that that may be a distraction to you or others. So it's best that people have their microphones muted and only one microphone is going at a time. All right, next slide. So during your virtual session, you definitely want to introduce yourself. You may have, you know, invited some friends and family, but hey, they may have shared your invitation with others. It's always good to just, you know, set the stage, introduce yourself, tell people about, you know, who you are, how you became a kidney health coach, why you became a kidney health coach, what American Kidney Fund and the program is all about. They'll be happy to hear it. And then just give your presentation as you normally would, right? So we're all kidney health coaches here, or I hope by the end of this, a lot of us will be running over to take the course. But you already know the information. You're comfortable with the slides. You do these presentations in person sometimes, and you likely would have practiced before the session. So, you know, it is a virtual session, a little bit different from what you may be used to, but, you know, just take it easy, do your best, give the presentation as you normally would, talk through it, make it fun, talk about the different tips, go through the information in the slides. And if you can, share your screen so that other people can follow along. And if not, like I said, if you're on one of those platforms where you're unable to share your screen, you can always share the materials afterwards. So you may ask people to, you know, send you their email addresses if they would like the presentation afterwards. You can send it to them, or you can send them the fact sheets. Always leave that option open as well. And then lastly, monitor the chat for questions and comments. So, you know, if you're doing an in-person session, you're all sitting around in a room, people can raise their hands, they can chime in with questions and comments, but oftentimes on these virtual sessions, you know, you don't have that opportunity. So you'll definitely want to direct people to the chat feature if there is one, and encourage them to type their questions in the chat. If they have any comments, you can engage with people that way, even if they can't turn on their videos. And that can be, you know, something that takes a little bit of practice. So, you know, presenting, looking at the camera, you know, focusing on the information you're talking about, but then also just being sure to look at the chat and, you know, just seeing what people have to say and acknowledging them. Next slide. All right, so during your virtual session, this is a big one. So, you know, the coronavirus pandemic is definitely a hot topic. It's on everyone's minds. Everyone is talking about it. Oftentimes, you know, people come to a session, they know that you're talking about health, talking about kidney disease, talking about prevention and treatment, but sometimes people will have questions about, you know, very specific medical questions about their health history or someone else's, or even related to the coronavirus. You just never know. But we want to remind you that you should try to refrain from answering any specific medical questions unless you are actually a trained clinical health professional. I think that, you know, people hear you talking about health and they kind of are used to wanting to ask all these other questions, and we don't want anyone to feel pressured that they have to do that. So definitely you can always refer people to the American Kidney Fund website, kidneyfund.org. We have quite a few different resources on coronavirus, other health topics obviously related to kidney disease, and there's plenty of other reputable sources that you can direct people to as well. And if you are, you know, talking about anything related to the coronavirus, the pandemic, just remember that if your audience is not based in the United States, there may be some things that we talk about that aren't actually applicable to communities outside of this country. So that's just something to keep in mind when you are answering questions with the people in your session. Next slide. All right, so during your session, you know, you want to talk through the information, you want people to learn more about, you know, kidney disease and prevention and treatment, but you want to make it interactive, right? You want to make it fun. So always make time, of course, to answer questions. You know, and in person, of course, people can chime in, you make time at the end. It's all up to you, honestly, depends on how you want to do it. You can decide if you want to take questions during the presentation or if people should hold their questions. But always make sure that at the very end that there's enough time for people to ask questions, and they can do that in the chat. You can encourage them to unmute themselves, but you know, definitely you don't want to be the only one talking all the time. It breaks up the conversation. It makes people feel included. And people really like when they attend something and their question gets answered. I think we all really do appreciate that. Another way to make things interactive is leading an icebreaker activity. So, you know, we're all in a room, a virtual room. We can see each other. Can't see some people are in the chat. Just depends on how it goes. It's helpful to, you know, while you're introducing yourself, get other people to introduce themselves. Do something a little fun to get everyone talking, to get everyone comfortable. You know, let them kind of set the stage. Like, you know, this isn't a classroom. You're not taking a test. It doesn't have to be a high stress situation. We can make this a really fun and educational session. So definitely icebreakers are great. And we're going to talk about a few ideas for that in a minute. And then launch a poll. So if you're using the Zoom platform, for example, we're going to show this too. We have a couple things in store on this this webinar, but if you have the opportunity to launch a poll, that's another way that you can learn more about who's in the room. You can ask questions like, you know, where are you tuning in from, or how much do you know about kidney disease, or, you know, do you know anyone who lives with kidney disease? There's endless questions you can ask just to learn more about your group. I think that'll help you be able to tailor the information that you present and share things that may be especially relevant to your audience. And then lastly, play an online game. So, you know, we're not all together in the same room, but there are ways that you can actually engage your audience with online games that they can all kind of participate in. And I'm actually going to turn it over to my colleague, Aruj, who's going to show us one of the ones that we've created. Aruj?
Thank you, Rennie. So one game that you can play during your education session is called Kahoot. Kahoot is a game-based learning platform. So it allows you to create trivia quizzes, and you can share them and play them, and you don't really need an account to do it. And we're gonna kind of walk you through how that works. So for those who would like to play, we ask that you please join us using your smartphones. All you have to do is log on your browser and enter this URL here. Oops. Enter this URL here, www.kahoot.it, and then type in the game pin 7349550. If you do not wish to play, that's also fine. You can watch us demonstrate. And I'll give everyone a few minutes to join. All right, so as we're waiting for people to join, I'll give you a little bit more background on Kahoot. So we have paid versions of Kahoot, and there's also a free version. And you don't need to have an account to actually play a game that someone else has created. So AKF has created 3 games already that you can use, and they're all linked in the Getting Started guide, which we will also talk about in a few minutes. All right, I see a lot of people joining, so I'm really excited. I'll just give a few more seconds. All right. So I'm going to start now. All right, so our first question is, which statement is true? And you have various options on your phones. So you click the shape that matches the right answer choice. There's a timer. All right. So the kidneys are permanently damaged and the damage cannot be reversed was the correct answer, which most of you got. And this point system ranks people on how quickly they answer and how correct their answer is. All right, next question, true or false? Finding and treating kidney disease early may delay or prevent kidney failure. All right, so the answer is true. You can slow down the progression of kidney disease. And Ria's in the lead. All right, next question. What are the most common causes of kidney disease? Diabetes and high blood pressure. Great job, everyone. All right. The best way to prevent kidney disease are Yep, I'm glad no one got that wrong because the previous question kind of gave that away. But controlling your blood pressure and your diabetes is really the best way to keep your kidneys healthy. All right, last question. How do doctors find out how well your kidneys are working? Yep, a blood test and a urine test. So great job, everyone. That's it. That's kind of how you play Kahoot. And we will switch back to our presentation now. Oh gosh. Let's actually close out of Kahoot. All right, there we go. All right, so that was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for playing along. The next thing we're going to talk about is logging your session. So after you've hosted your session and you've done it virtually, the next step is to log it. And it's really important because that is the best way for us to receive feedback. So for those of you who have hosted a session, we want to hear about your experiences and get your feedback right now. So we're going to do a few polls just to get your responses. So the first question we have for you is, what are the barriers that you face for logging sessions? Okay, so I'm going to share the results now. It seems like a lot of people don't know about the session log. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about that, and we'll actually show you today where the session log is. Our next question is, do incentives, sorry, one second, you guys, just figuring out how to launch this poll. Here we go. Do the incentives motivate you to log sessions? Okay, I'm going to end the poll. So a lot of people said yes, and a few people said no. And we will also be talking a little bit more about our incentives in the next few minutes. Okay. All right, and then we have one last question for you. The last question is, what would motivate you to log more sessions? And here is the poll. Okay, so we're getting a lot of answers, so I'll give everyone a few more seconds. All right. So it seems like a lot of people said a better understanding of what counts as a session, and that's definitely really important to know. So that's something that we will definitely clear up in the future. Okay. So we're going to show you guys how you can log your sessions. Since a lot of people don't know where the session log is, we wanted to give you guys a tour of the Kidney Health Coach portal. So the Kidney Health Coach portal is linked in the email that you first receive when you complete the Kidney Health Coach course. And we always recommend bookmarking it so that you have easier access to it, because it is a great resource for you coaches. So this is the Kidney Health Coach portal. Here we have our new Getting Started guide, and it's a great source for our coaches who are new and just trying to learn how to hold sessions, and for coaches who have already hosted a few sessions but are looking for other ways to make their sessions interactive or just get new ideas. So you can download that from our website. We also have fact sheets. We have fact sheets about kidney disease, blood pressure, diabetes, testing, and you can print these fact sheets from the portal, or you can request them by emailing us at education@kidneyfund.org. We have our PowerPoint presentation that our coaches use when speaking to their audience. And then finally here we have our session log. So you click this link and it'll take you to the session log here. We have a few questions, just basic, your name, who you are. And then down here, we have where did you host your presentation? And in this drop-down menu, if you've hosted a virtual session, you can now select virtual session. And then once you've given your feedback, you click submit. And it's that simple. So as long as you have the portal linked, you can always have access to the session log. And you can also email us at kidneyfund.org, at education@kidneyfund.org, or you can message us in our Facebook group, which I'll also show you guys now. So once you become a kidney health coach, in that welcome email, you'll receive a link to our Kidney Health Coach Facebook group. And we encourage all current coaches to join the group. So if you haven't already joined, we'll send a link out in the chat box. And if you've already taken the course, please do join the Facebook group. Here we have all of our updates for you guys, and then you can also message us in the chat or ask us questions, and we always do our best to answer. So that is it for the portal and for our Facebook page. We will now get back to the presentation. And I'll actually turn it over to Ria to talk a little bit about our incentives.
Hi, everyone. So each time you log a session, you work towards earning a new incentive. And I'll be doing a bit of show and tell through my video to show you the various incentives that we offer. So when you log one session, you will receive a Kidney Health Coach label, which looks like this. Hope you can see that. And also 20 Kidney Health Coach stickers, so they look like this. When you log a total of 5 sessions, you'll receive a Kidney Health Coach t-shirt, which looks like this. It says Kidney Health Coach, American Kidney Fund. And when you log a total of 10 sessions, you'll receive a Kidney Health Coach tote bag, which looks like this. And then when you log a total of 15 sessions, I don't have this with me, but you can see it on the photo on the slide, you will receive a kidney anatomical poster. And next slide, I'll turn it back to Aruj.
So just wanted to give another reminder about the Kidney Health Coach portal. We've already kind of browsed through where it is and how it looks like. And just another reminder that the Kahoot game we played is linked in the Getting Started guide, which is found on the portal. So you can play the game with your audience members, the same game that we played today. And we have 2 other games that are linked in the Getting Started guide that you can also try out with your participants. And now I will actually pass the mic to Molly.
Hi again, everyone. So I just want to give a quick reminder, please enter your questions into the chat box because we have now come to the Q&A section of the webinar. So Ria will be reading the questions out loud and we will do our best to answer them.
Great, thank you, Molly. So the first question we have here is, somebody submitted this through the chat box. I have been a kidney health coach for a while now. Are there any recent changes to training or training materials that I should go back and review?
That is a great question. So there have been no updates to the training materials at this time, but like Aruj mentioned earlier, we did recently release the Getting Started guide, and that guide contains a whole bunch of tips on how to host an education session, including some of the tips we discussed today on how to host a virtual session. And so following this webinar, we will be sure to send out the recording of the webinar along with the Getting Started guide.
Great, thank you, Molly. Our next question is about Kahoot. Can the Kahoot game be reused between different sessions?
Yes, absolutely, and we highly encourage you to do so. So that Kahoot link, like we mentioned earlier, is on the Kidney Health Coach portal, so you can access that at any time. It's also linked in the Getting Started guide, and yes, and you can use it over and over again for all of your education sessions.
Great, thank you. Our next question is for Rennie. Can you email the fact sheet before the virtual session?
Yes, if you are able to collect people's email addresses and you know who's going to be attending the session, or even if you want to send the materials to everyone that you invite, you can always go to the Kidney Health Coach portal, download the PDFs, and then you can attach them and share them with your attendees. I think that it's definitely great if they have them beforehand so that they can follow along if they want to review them, but you can also send them afterwards as well.
Great, thank you. Our next question, is the PowerPoint available in Spanish or is it only hard copy on the flip chart?
I can answer.
Yeah,
that.
so the PowerPoint, oh, sure, go ahead, Aruj.
You can go ahead, Rennie, sorry.
It's all right. Yeah, so the PowerPoint is available in both English and Spanish, and you can access both versions on the Kidney Health Coach portal. And I think the second part of the question is about the flip chart. We do have spiral-bound flip charts of the presentation slides in both English and Spanish. So if you're interested in getting one of those, definitely reach out to us via email. We'll be sure to put that in the chat, and we can send one to you.
Wonderful. Our next question is, can you co-host a session with another kidney health coach?
Yes, I think that is actually a great idea to team up with another kidney health coach so you can kind of tag team, host a session together, bring both of your networks together, increase your audience. I think that would be a really fun way to engage and do a virtual session. So we definitely encourage you to do so, and we would love to hear how it goes.
Great. Our next question is, with the Facebook page, is that only for coaches or do we invite people who attend a session?
Yeah, so the Facebook page that we have created is actually for kidney health coaches who have completed the course. So the idea of the Facebook page is actually a Facebook group. It's a place for community where you can connect with other coaches as well as the American Kidney Fund Kidney Health Coach team. So once you have completed the course, you just, click the link to follow to the group and answer a few questions, and then we'll admit you in. But like I said, it's reserved for people who are coaches and not for attendees. But we do encourage you to encourage your attendees to take the course so that they can become coaches too and join the group as well.
Great, thank you. If I am doing another kidney-related activity, can it be logged?
That's a fantastic question. And what we've heard from some of the coaches is that a lot of you will take the Kidney Health Coach course and then integrate it into the work you're already doing in the community, or you're already doing at a healthcare center if you're a healthcare professional. So yes, if you are doing another kidney-related activity and you're integrating the Kidney Health Coach curriculum into the work that you're doing, that certainly does count as a session. And so we highly encourage you to log those activities so that you can receive the incentives that you get from logging.
Great, thank you. Our next question is, if I invite people to a session, how can those people add more people?
So if you invite people to a session and they would like to, invite other people, they are happy. I mean, they're welcome to share the link, I think. It depends on how you have it set up. But I think you should be able to share the join link or the link to whatever profile you may be going live from for people to join.
Great, thank you. Another question we have is, will there be more Kidney Health Coach webinars in the future?
Absolutely. We were so excited to host this first one for all of you. And we certainly look forward to doing more of these types of webinars in the future so that we can continue to discuss new ways to implement Kidney Health Coach, but then also to help build a community of coaches and help all of us connect in this new virtual environment.
Great, thank you. And we have a couple questions here about the URL for the Kidney Coach portal and also the correct email address for asking questions. And we will submit those through the chat box, so you should be able to find those there. Our next question is, what is your advice to someone who is not very tech savvy?
If you're not very tech savvy, you can still, and you're interested in hosting a virtual session, we definitely encourage you just to, in the Getting Started guide, there's actually links to the various free platforms, and you can kind of click around and see, play with the features and see what may work best for you. There may be something that is pretty easy to use. Zoom is a platform, the one we're using now, it has a little bit more bells and whistles. But if you just wanted to go live on your Facebook or your Instagram or another social media platform, it's really as easy as clicking a button and just say, hey, I want to go live. And you can just start talking. If people join, they come and watch you. I think that that's definitely a much easier way to go if you're not comfortable with using some of these more high-tech, if you will, video conferencing platforms. But again, our team is definitely here to help you. So if it's something you're really interested in doing and you're having a little bit of trouble, do email us at education@kidneyfund.org, and we'll be happy to, walk you through what we can, answer any questions that we can, and get you to a place where you feel like you're comfortable and ready to go.
Wonderful. Our next question is, what is your advice to someone who has stage fright?
It's so funny because we were all talking about that before we got started. I assure you, we all have stage fright too. So it is something that everyone experiences. It's perfectly normal, perfectly natural. I think for me, one of the ways I get over my stage fright is I just try to practice the night before. I practice out loud. I'm sure my husband loves hearing me do that. I just practice to myself until the words feel very natural and comfortable. I'm sure the rest of the team has other tips they might want to share for overcoming stage fright, but I assure you, you're not alone in that fight.
Definitely agree with what Molly said. We were all talking about how we were feeling before we started this presentation. I think that, yes, practicing definitely helps. If you want to write down what you're planning to say, that's okay too. I think that helps, having that as a reference. Ultimately, you're kind of the subject matter expert. People are coming to hear you speak. So people are going to be tuned in, they're coming to learn, that they want to hear what you have to say. And I think sometimes remembering that helps to get rid of some of those nerves too.
Great. Our next question is, what kind of information and resources can I offer attendees who already have kidney disease?
That is a great question. So, obviously here at the American Kidney Fund, we are committed to fighting kidney disease on all fronts. So not just from the prevention perspective with Kidney Health Coach, but we also have so many other materials related to the management of kidney disease on our website as well. When it comes to dietary management of kidney disease, other conditions, things to think of, we do have a lot of that information. If you email us, we can definitely point you in the direction of something. If you're looking for something specific, we can try to get you that info. But I think that our website is a great place to start for some of that other info.
Is there a way to virtually incentivize attendees to attend virtual sessions?
I would say yes. I mean, depends on the resources that you have. If you want to do like some kind of virtual door prize or something like that, if you want to do a raffle in your session, it's totally up to you. Just depends on the resources that you have, but definitely, you know, don't feel pressured to kind of go out of your way and provide those things if you don't have them. Hopefully people will just be interested in hearing the information. But if you try anything and it works, we'd definitely love to hear it. Definitely something to share in the Facebook group. That's the point of community, and, you know, having everyone share ideas for how they do things.
Wonderful. Our next question is, can we do an exercise demo or cooking demo as part of our virtual kidney health coach session?
I see Molly nodding. That's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Molly?
Absolutely. We love when folks get creative about ways to incorporate kidney health coach into other parts of, you know, living well with kidney disease. So we certainly encourage you to do exercise demos or live cooking demos, and just bring that into the work that you're doing and the way that you reach your community. So, you know, we highly encourage you to utilize Kidney Kitchen, our newest renal nutrition platform. So if you just go to kitchen.kidneyfund.org, you'll find tons of healthy recipes, ranging from breakfast, lunch, dinner, to snacks and beverages. We have all types of recipes and cooking videos on there to give you some inspiration. And we also have some resources on exercising with kidney disease on our website, kidneyfund.org.
Great. Our next question is, can I still log a session if no one showed up?
That's a great question. And we certainly hope that that doesn't happen. But I would say that, I would say you could log the session. Of course, you would log that nobody attended. But, you know, I think it's important for all of us to, you know, try our best to try to get sessions wherever we can, and to track those efforts, because even if nobody attended that one, hopefully someone will attend some future sessions that you host. And so we should also use those opportunities to kind of tweak the way that we promote the session, to ensure that we can get folks to the next one.
Great. Let's see if there are any other questions. Looks like that is the last of the questions that came through.
I do see people are asking about Kidney Kitchen. Just to give that URL one more time, it's kitchen.kidneyfund.org, and I will drop it in the chat box as well.
Great, thanks, Molly. We do have a question here that says, how can I sign up for my first session?
Oh, well, to become a kidney health coach, you just go to the Kidney Health Coach portal, take the online training. Once you take the training and pass the quiz and receive your certificate of completion, then you can go out and go start hosting education sessions. And so to get you started, we created a Getting Started guide that has a whole bunch of tips on how to reach out to community organizations, how to promote your sessions, how to prepare for your sessions, how to organize and host them, and how to keep folks engaged. So like we mentioned earlier, we'll be sure to send out that Getting Started guide after the webinar.
Great. And we have a question here that asks, do we create our own PowerPoint decks?
No, actually, we provide the PowerPoint decks for you in the Kidney Health Coach portal. So if you visit the portal, you should find the PowerPoint decks in both English and Spanish, as well as fact sheets in English and Spanish, and other resources you might need, and tips and tricks and tools that you can utilize in your sessions.
Great. Our next question is, what advice or platform is best for the visually impaired? I want to educate diabetics?
Sure. So I saw about 2 different questions come in around, making these sessions and activities more accessible for the visually impaired. And I didn't want to ignore the question, though I don't have a perfect answer. I think that is definitely something to think about, how we can adapt these sessions and these online experiences in a way that is accessible to all. It's extremely important. With Kahoot, it's something where, you're on your mobile phone, you're looking at a screen, if the font is small, if the color contrast, just depending on what the issue is, it may be a little bit hard to follow. But I think that, even if you aren't showing slides or anything on the screen, you can still, kind of do a verbal trivia session, kind of ask questions, give people the opportunity to respond verbally. And when it comes to the right visual platform, that's something we can do a little bit of digging on. These questions are definitely giving us things that we can think about more internally, but we'd love to follow up, and we can definitely touch base with you more about that.
Great. Our next question is, do you have a virtual AKF banner that I can use for my online platform?
Yeah, so I just responded to that question in the chat. I do actually have some AKF branded virtual backgrounds, and I'm so glad somebody brought that up because that's a great idea and a great resource to use for your virtual session. So we will be sure to add those to the Kidney Health Coach portal. Thanks so much for that suggestion.
Great. We have another question about the quiz related to the online course. It says, I didn't get a quiz after my course. What happened?
So the quiz does not pop up automatically when you complete the course. You'll have to go into the left-hand panel, and there'll be like a drop down that you click where it says quiz, and then there'll be a link there that you click, and then the quiz will pop up. And oftentimes the quiz won't become available if you haven't let the video in the course run all the way through. So if the quiz is not clickable, then we recommend going back into the course and letting the entire course run through to the very end, making sure none of the seconds are paused. That way the platform can register that you have completed the course, and then in the left-hand corner, the quiz panel should open up. And for that person who is asking, I can also send kind of a video demo of how to do that as well.
Great. Our next question is, can I do blood pressure and blood sugar screenings at my Kidney Health Coach session if I am qualified?
You said the key words, if you are qualified. So yes, if you are a qualified healthcare professional, then of course you can certainly integrate blood pressure screening or blood glucose screening into your Kidney Health Coach sessions. That's a great way to drive home those key messages that diabetes and high blood pressure are the leading causes of kidney disease. But if you are not a qualified healthcare professional, then we certainly cannot advise that you do that. So that's only if you are a healthcare professional in a healthcare setting.
Great, thank you, Molly. And it looks like we've covered all of our Q&A submissions. So again, if you have any additional questions or comments, please feel free to email education@kidneyfund.org. I'll also submit that in the chat field. And I'll now turn it back over to Molly.
All right, well, thank you so much for your questions. We love that interactive Q&A. If we were unable to answer your questions, again, please email them to education@kidneyfund.org. And before we wrap up, we'd like you to take a minute to participate in the following webinar evaluation poll and provide your feedback. So Ruj, thank you. So our first poll question is, overall, how satisfied are you with this webinar? Please rate your satisfaction scale, or your satisfaction on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being very unsatisfied and 5 being very satisfied. All right, let's close the poll. Okay, we see the majority of you are very satisfied with today's session, and we appreciate that feedback. Now on to the next poll question. So our next question is, how many other people watch this webinar with you? And please don't include yourself. We are just trying to get an accurate count of our poll attendance, or of our webinar attendance today. So if nobody watched with you, then that's quite all right. You don't have to respond to this. All right, let's close the poll. All right, thank you. And now on to our last poll question. Would you consider attending another Kidney Health Coach webinar? Yes or no? All right, let's close the poll. All right, the overwhelming majority of you would attend another webinar. Fantastic. We will plan to do another one in the future. All right, so this concludes today's webinar. The webinar was recorded and will be made available for viewing on our website, kidneyfund.org/webinars, within the next 1 to 2 weeks. We will host additional webinars in the coming months. Please visit kidneyfund.org/webinars for more information and to register. Thank you once again for joining, and we hope to see you again.